Nathan Hale was dead, killed by Joseph Capelli. 3 years later, out of universe, the third chapter of Resistance was actually finally released, starting with a recap of what happened so far. Like he said, suggested it all starts with the Tunguska event.
Fun fact, I actually own this game for a specific reason. I was trying to find a DualShock 3. The problem is, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but finding an actual legit DualShock 3 that was made by Sony is incredibly hard nowadays because there's so many counterfeit bootleg shit out there, right? But what I did is I bought a special edition of Resistance 3 that came with a DualShock 3. That was a guaranteed way I had of getting a legit
I mean,
DualShock
it makes
3.
sense.
So it's
And there you go.
interesting.
That's how the Chimera started their invasion in Russia.
So this opening
Moving on
seems
to the rest of Asia and Europe. And yeah, you can see a bit more of a comic book kind of style, which for these particular cutscenes, which I do like, if I have to be honest.
While there were implications prior, this opening pretty much outright confirms that, yes, the invasion started with them literally poisoning the humans' food supplies to make them one of them.
Yeah, it was a slow thing, and the Russian government was still in a turmoil at the time, so it makes sense.
Well, isn't the Russian government in turmoil?
And yeah, this is what happened. Nathan Hale, arrives in the climate. Then, of course, the United States gets invaded.
Although the Golden Gate Bridge was surprisingly intact.
In 1953. And that's what the intro actually for this stops. We were gonna get another one, yes, because the servers are dead. We're gonna get another one as we start the game, so don't worry about that. Yeah, you notice, for starters, the menu is actually more welcoming. Like I said, it embraces more of a comic book type of art style, which is more resembles a bit to the first game, in terms of presentation, with papers, and war stuff, which, again, it definitely looks more appealing at the very least, which is a good hint for what the actual gameplay and presentations will be. Because again, I made it in the past, this is actually the game that I prefer playing out of the three. Shame that I don't particularly give a shit about the story, but that's what we're here to find out. I don't think it's outright bad, but it's possibly the most unmemorable of them. And considering what I played,
It's called bloody hell.
consider other people. Yeah, if you recall, another thing that I mentioned that I didn't mention, I mentioned that in the second game, one of the things that you could unlock was stuff like the field of view. In this, the cheats that you unlock by obtaining points in the multiplayer and finishing the game do include stuff like, say, substituting, your health with regenerating health. They're technically different ways to play the game, like invincibility, but they're neat in the way that you unlock them. They're really useful, immediately useful. But let me start with this, because the intro is going to recap something that I mentioned not to the episode to the other. Yeah, we start immediately where the second game left off. And with some narration, hold on. Also, the subs have gotten infinitely smaller for some reason.
Becoming one of them.
Man.
He could have stopped me, but I think he wanted.
Ah, I see. So they're making it that Hale wanted to die.
And there you go. They extracted from Nathan Hale's blood, they extracted protein, I think they're going to mention, or an enzyme, that would be useful for, create an antibody for a vaccine against the Chimera virus. There you go, protein.
That's making his sacrifice a heroic one.
Like you said, well, actually, I'll mention it in a second. So, everyone got immunized, including Capelli.
Inoculated. Saved again by Hale, one last time.
God!
Everyone look at him because he was the villain.
Oh yes, feel so sad for Capelli.
And he was discharged dishonorably.
Really? I mean, don't get me wrong. I get why
Again, because
audiences...
Hale was considered a hero, basically, so I guess the idea that since there was no one else to witness. But the good news is that the Chimera cannot convert anyone else. The bad news is that they still need to resist. Also, in the meantime, Capelli found, I shit you not, Nathan Hale's stepsister and married her.
Why? Why her specifically?
Hold on.
I killed your stepbrother.
Then, and this is where we basically reply. You want to know the details about all of these being recapped? Read the second novel, dipshits.
So
4
it
years
seems
later.
that they.
So, immediately, first problem of the story. This Capelli is a completely different character than the one in the second game. This Capelli is basically one that is bland and boring as shit, and he cares so much about his family. Not only that, but like he said, the chemistry that he has with his wife, and you'll see because he had a son in the meantime, is almost non-existent as a result. Also, they did something bizarre. In the cutscenes, Capelli speaks properly. Now he has a new voice actor in the form of Robin Akindaus, by the way.
Cute.
But in the main level, he doesn't.
What?
And I don't understand why.
Were they trying to give us a bout of nostalgia for the first Resistance game where Hale barely
Possibly.
spoke a word?
I really don't understand because Capelli is much more involved in the plot.
Okay, I know we're just starting, but already it feels like if they were taking feedback into account, it's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
I will say this, however, like I said, another thing, I like the presentation. Finally, the series seems to reach a balance between the art style, the way the characters actually look, and the coloring. It seems to be finding finally its tone.
Okay, so my initial thoughts are, I get the feeling that them making Hale a sacrificial hero, I get the feeling that that was an edit and not what they had planned in mind originally.
Oh no, Jova, an interview at the end in the extras, Doggo. Interviews at the end, they'll tell it was intentional because in the voice of Ted Price, they wanted to create a connection between the player and Hale, and at the very end, ripped it out of you.
Well, mission accomplished, I guess. But
sorry, Ted. Don't ask me again why I still care about Ratchet and Clank and not this, however.
Well, anyway,
because you'll find the answer very easy.
Well, anyway, my guess was making it so that Hale's death brought forth the cure and everything. That's what I feel like is a last-minute edit because I'm sorry, the abruptness of 2's ending seemed to suggest that things were only going to get worse for us, but now, magically, at the start of 3, it turns out things got better. I mean, it's not like everything got fixed, but things took a major upgrade.
Anyway, you're also noticing the fact that we're having a bit of a slower beginning in order to make you acquaintance with not only the controls are slightly different, but also the presentation, trying to immerse you in the story, and also to, later on having you the tutorial.
I'm guessing this is La Resistance.
Well, no. Now the humans are basically collected in small groups that live scattered throughout, in this case, the United States. In this case, we're in Oklahoma.
Which begs the question, in this day and age, is it really wise to discharge a soldier who is still capable?
It was considered by the superiors of Serpa as basically the villain because they believed maybe Hale could be cured. Maybe the details are actually told in the novel and I didn't pay too much attention in the synopsis, but silly me, I know. Also, that guy
okay,
is
dude?
very sleepy. And I want to remind you, everyone, because comparison will inevitably crop up if it hasn't the worm in your brain hasn't started telling you already. This was released 2 years before The Last of Us. Keep that in mind as this game continues to go on.
Huh, interesting. What?
Anyway, your starting weapon in this case is the bullseye. And yes, first of all, better HUD. Second, your health bar is back, now with a compass to boot. Third, let me read also the weapon journal, which is a bit better this time around because it combines the journal and the static. An energy-based Chimera submachine gun, very effective at short and medium range. Its fast rate of fire and large clip size makes it ideal for close-quarter combat. It tends to lose accuracy and power beyond short range. R1 flammable EV3 energy projectiles, R2 tags an enemy, if an enemy is tagged. There you go. It even gives you a small of those tutorial videos that tells you how the weapon functions, which is pretty neat. Like I said, the presentation is much better because it actually is a bit more appealing, even for the data log stuff.
Hey, look. Joe's got a
again, even the HUD when actually using the weapon actually doesn't look too bad. The predominant color of this game is yellow, which is normally a color I normally don't like that much, but I think it works very, very well for this.
So do we get our weapon wheel back?
Yes, I was gonna mention it later when it was relevant, but yes, they actually bring that back. Like I said, the complaints about the gameplay were stuff that Ted Price took in very high consideration when making this.
Considering the ending of the second game and the opening of this one, the fact that you say that this is the most forgettable story is kind of baffling to me, because you'd think with a setup like what we left off, you'd think they would do at the very least something, even if it was bad, at least it would be memorable at least, but not even that.
That's the thing. They will follow up on basically almost everything that the end of the second game established, like what was the theme behind Nate, what was that the explosion caused, etc., and how ultimately the Chimera will be defeated. But I can tell you it's probably not going to be better. There we go. We have both the weapon wheel, but by tapping triangle, which was what we used in the second game, we can swap willy-nilly between the last two that we use, which is a classic type of setup that modern shooters still use.
It's a good compromise, too. Like, you get the weapon wheel, but if you want to do a quick
potent revolver with explosive rounds, bullet embedded in enemies, and environments ideal for setting traps. I will also say that while still not probably on the level of the first game, the arsenal in this game still has a bit more variety in terms of old weapons that return and new stuff that tries to have the wackiness of weapon design that Insomniac, has a trademark of.
Is the Magnum at least better in this game than it was in 2?
Yeah, definitely. And I will mention it will become more apparent later, but taking a page from Ratchet and Clank, now the weapons have the gimmick that the more you use them, they level up. And as such, gain new capabilities. So actually, that's actually something that I do appreciate, because again, I genuinely do appreciate when a game has an upgrade system of some kind to either the equipment, the character, or both.
It's not like one of those cases where when they start off they're weak sauce, like they...
Joe, Death Squad is coming into town.
Basically, like I said, the humans are acting like hiding on their own, and as such, if a Chimera troop, prepares to actually get there, they need to make sure they do not go noticed. Anyway, new grade type. L2 loads an energy-draining grenade that deactivates Chimera energy shield and drones. Electromagnetic pulses may also affect hybrid cooling packs, causing them to explode. So it is still very useful. Depends just on what enemies you use them. Go on, Jova.
I'm guessing the idea is essentially that now that the Chimera can no longer turn humans into their own, they think, okay, that's it, we'll just kill you all.
That's what we'll learn at the end of the second part of this, basically.
Okay. Everybody to your scouting positions.
I wonder if that means if we'll still get any of those freakish cocoon sequences, though, I guess, to humans who didn't get the vaccine.
Get to the bowling alley.
You'll see.
Nate and his boys will be waiting for you.
Tommy Dean, yeah, that's, I recognise that voice.
Cool.
That's a storyline.
But yeah,
but a lot of aside from the characters who get a reprisal of their voice actors, again, not Capelli. I don't know what happened with the voice actor he had in 2, but now he's voiced by Robin Atkins, which, like he said, also voiced the protagonist of Retribution. The guy, like he said, he's almost carrying the entire franchise on his back at this point.
Wait. Retribution. Wasn't Retribution the
PSP game, which we will see after this one.
I thought the PSP game was Blazing Skies.
That's the PS Vita game.
There's a PSP game and a PS Vita game. Fair point.
Killzone also had something similar going on with that.
But yeah, going off of... I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Going off of the story so far, again, that intro just feels like their best way to try and...
It's basically there to give a mini hard reset in the universe without being a reboot.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it feels like a blatant apology letter for, we're sorry we killed Hale so callously.
I don't give a shit about Capelli in this game, like at all. It could be a completely new, different characters, and the game will virtually not change at all.
I mean,
I'll be honest.
If you're not going to commit to that, why even
hold on this?
Sounds like they're gone.
Wait for it.
I think they're gone.
God damn it.
Come on. Where's the boom?
More like the Trump skirt.
There we go. Jinxed it. But yeah, no, I mean, the way the intro for this...
And there you go. Now you're crossing into the gameplay. And look, again, Again, if it was 2011, so the last bunch of years for the PS3. But if you remember the E3 2006 conference, we're finally reaching a level of not graphical, but video presentation where it starts to resemble actually those trailers that instead looked very much fabricated back in 2006. So, like I said, prompts to Insomniac to managing to blend both the art style without having to rely on hyper-realism.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree. I dig the visuals of this game probably the most.
Not only you have your health bar back, but you also have to rely on a health pack in order to regen. You can unlock regenerating health as one of the cheats, but for default you have to rely on a health pack that are just scattered around. So like I said, it makes the challenge actually more tangible.
But yeah, the intro feels like such an obvious slapdash apology, because I can believe that the intent was always to kill Hale. I don't believe that the intent though was to make Hale's death that meaningful though, or at the very least. If you're wondering, oh yeah, by the way, the stalkers are back with a vengeance. So these bastards are actually much harder. Force field and everything.
They don't even, that's the thing, Jova, they don't even have any more the weak point on their back. Now basically your strategy is to try to disable the shield and just pump them full of holes and hope for the best.
So hit them really hard, got it.
But as you can see, however, the challenge is still relatively better than in the previous games. The game will still become very hard towards the end, but for these initial stages it actually manages to be more balanced when it comes to the difficulty, which is appreciated compared to 1 and 2. This is definitely the game that someone who has never played this could be able to play in an arcade fashion.
Interesting.
I forgot what I was saying before.
There's nothing interesting on the RTCS3 front regarding this game, aside from one minor setting change that's recommended to do. There's not really anything worth commenting on.
Well, can it run it?
Oh, there you go.
It can. It can. You just need a BCT.
Now I remember what I was going to say. And if you're wondering if, Capelli will be tormented by PTSD by having, like, say, Nathan Hale's ghost telling, why did he kill me? I was, the mankind's last hope and everything. No, he doesn't. So he has some regrets of the time that he was in the army, but it's not really expressed that much over the course of the game. And like I said, personality-wise, he's almost completely different.
So let me get this straight.
He might as well be a different character altogether.
So what was the point of even having him marry Nathan Hale's sister?
I don't remember the exact, cross-referencing of the dates, but I do wonder if the novel was written before the game story was written, and they had to basically make things coincide.
That wouldn't surprise me too much, but again, all the same, I feel like the story of this game really misses points if it doesn't capitalize on that, to at least have Capelli reflect on it and realize, hey, me and Hale were at each other's throats, but he was a good guy in the end.
Let me get this straight. You have Capelli kill Hale at the end of the second game. Now you start this game by saying that Capelli married his stepsister. And okay, and what do you do after this? You rewrite Capelli to be a completely different character. Okay, then what the hell was the point of all that shit then?
And if the development is explained exclusively in the novel, screw off with that nonsense. Especially back then, I'm not saying nobody could pick up a book and read, but again,
I can tell you, I don't think the novel was translated in my country. So, for instance, probably a lot of non-English speaking countries probably were cut off.
That is one reason I don't like exclusive novel stuff, because it doesn't always make it to every region.
I'm just thankful that these days, thanks to the internet, we can at least circumvent that. But the point is that for the time being, the city is safe, we just need to take away the bodies.
God, Capelli doesn't even look like how he did in 2.
No, because he removed his beanie.
Well, not just that, he grew a beard too, so he looks like... Honestly, he could be just any new protagonist. Hell, for all I know, he could be Radio Guy from 2. Probably not, but you get what I mean.
Joe.
Oh, Joe, my
I thought I
love.
lost you.
I'm okay. How is he?
Did they name the
Fever's
son
down.
Nathan at least?
Little.
I don't remember.
Oh.
I actually don't remember how the song is called. Like he said, I
Joe,
don't give a shit about Capelli, and I
can't
don't
reach
give a
Sawyer
shit
Dean.
about his family. But the
He's
game
right
will
here.
try to sort of hammer the point of, oh my god, he's
Should I
caring
say
about
that?
his family, his entire motivation and shit.
Oh, look, here's this poor
too.
little...
The only reason I'm not comparing these two as another, adaptation of the
Joe.
road is because mercifully,
Be careful.
for the upcoming journey that Capelli is about to have, he doesn't drag his son around. Thank God.
He has his poor
It's
sick
interesting
son,
you say that,
Tiny
too.
Tim. I mean, Little Deanie, or whatever his name is.
That is true too, but at the same time, I have to say, since you brought up the whole point about The Last of Us earlier, like his wife looks very suspiciously like Maria from The Last of Us.
I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, this game was released 2 years before and was, I don't know how much long in development The Last of Us was, but I don't know.
Since 2009.
Well, I guess they were exchanging some notes in between studios, I suppose.
It's
is
possible. But yeah, like I was saying though, the intro to this game feels so slapdash. Like, and I'm sorry, I get it. People probably would have hated Capelli, but it feels weird to have Capelli be hated in universe. Like, again, that feels like them trying to please the fan base without getting why the fan base were ticked off. Because yeah, Capelli was maybe kind of a jerk in 2, but not like, so much of a jerk that I felt he needed to get stripped down for doing what was technically the right thing. Yeah.
Anyway, tune in for the next part where we try to find Tommy Dean. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.